everyone. It's nice to meet every one of you. Thank you so much for having the time to come have a chat with me as well. And also thank you, Ellie, for having this opportunity with me for this Refugee page. And today I want to talk about courage, identity, and creative practice, of course. I'm gonna introduce myself a little bit. One second. So my name is Lisa Marie Asubonteng. I'm a Ghanaian German photographer. I was born in Ghana. I grew up in Germany, in south of Germany, Stuttgart, and I moved to Berlin 10 years ago, where I started my bachelor's in communications design, which provided me much more facilities in photography. Photography for me has been always within in my life. My mom comes from fashion. She did a diploma in fashion design and always was involved in photography, and I kind of picked it up from her. And in my practice, I learned about developing stories, series, and how to like involve my own identity into like different ways of viewing. In today's age, when it's like when you go to school or especially in German institutions, you would have like books of like different stories around the German culture, but there were hardly like stories about like the Black culture, especially what the Americans get taught about the slavery or the slave trade. We don't get taught about it at all. So for me, it was really hard to kind of like relate with specific topics. And over the years, I started developing a practice of what stories I've been told as a child, but also what is being viewed in the public. And yeah, I started doing my bachelor's in Berlin, finished that, and then I did my MA in photography in Bielefeld, which is in the middle of Germany, in North Westphalia, and developed another master's at the Royal College of Arts, where I'm currently at. And so far with my practice, I have been published with Vogue Germany. My first editorial was with L'Officiel, all to in the fashion sense of showing beautiful work around Black identities and male gaze. And yeah, and now I'm currently almost finishing my second master's at the Royal College of Art and showing my grad show, which is open to public. So if you have time later or during the week, you're welcome to see not only my work, but also some of my peers' works. And yeah, now I'm gonna start with the presentation. And for everyone, I wanted to talk about what it really means for me before I show my work. What does courage really mean to me? And for me, courage is not the absence of fear. It's about making work anyway. And it comes from me, as for me, it comes from my own practice, which means three things: about entering spaces that no one opened, and without being able to exploit them as well. And talking about sensitive topics without exploiting them or being culturally sensitive towards them as well. And I'm not trying to assume something that is more exotic. I'm trying to like tell stories that are treating our cultural identity as an artistic material. And it's not to sell, but it's more an actual subject of serious work. And I think that word courage means to not see it as fear, but to step into the word of discussion and understanding. And to start with that, I started doing my practice in photography in my bachelor's, and my bachelor's thesis was about the Holy Women. And this is a series I shot in 2022, and it's about women and children who are survivors of rape. I know the word is very sensitive, but and they like we have big companies and associates that are developing massive advertisement on trauma, and I wonder all the time when I see like videos or images of women who are like crying, if they know that they're their images is out there like this, and what are we giving them back, because we have been so much desensitized of these images that we don't have an empathy or a relationship towards the people that we see. And as a photographer, you want to ask the same questions: what can I give back to the person without having that kind of white savior complex around me, that I'm doing the story, which is so big, but I'm getting all the recognition, but it's actually about them and telling their vision of how they want to be seen. And that was like the question I was asking myself as a human being, but also as an artist. And for me, this work wasn't just a single work, it was a collaborative work with the women. This was shot in Kumasi, where I'm come from, where my grandma comes from, and her hometown. And it was all developed through the loss of my grandma, and who we were then burying. And there was a topic coming up about my cousin who had a child, which wasn't so young, which was some months ago. And the question became, because she's not married, how did she got the baby? And my mom opened up about the story, and I noticed that this is like something we look far away from and don't discuss about it. And most of the time, women get the fault on most of these things and the situations. And in Ghana, there's a problem as well. I love my country so much, but there are some things that we need to change as well. And speaking about topics like these are very important because for example, there's a law that in Ghana that women who go through these systems or these situations are supposed to be medically attended to and until under a no cost fee. However, in Ghana, you have to pay for everything, especially like your healthcare and everything else, or even transportation. But to even do like a report on this, you have to have a medical report, and that medical report costs around like 130 cities. And these women don't have that money or are scared to go there. And even in the public eye, these women can be shamed by their own families or even like forced into marriage, which they don't want to, or sometimes the abuser would be gone and literally like nowhere to be found and no consequences are there for these women. And it develops such a high trauma where these are like kids who still go to uni or go to school or want to like have a future for themselves. And yeah, and then they just get exploited in a way that is not only dehumanizing to us to extend from our own community, but also by the system. And when I heard about this, I wanted to make this story public because it's not just about the Ghanaian community, but it's everywhere. And it is very important to kind of like highlight stories like these, to have a conversation about what it really means to be female, but also how it means to show someone in their most vulnerable state. But for me, it wasn't just about showing what happened, but also showing how strong they are, but also how what kind of like stories are behind them, what they want to be achieve, what they want to achieve as in the future, what ambitions they have. And that was mostly that the interview I was doing with them, not just talking about their trauma, but also talking about the positive aspect of their lives and what they see in themselves, what's beauty for them, and what does it mean for them to have the image out there, and is it okay for them? And most of the women were definitely, I'm like very honored to have that engagement with them and having the relationship with them, to not only photograph with them, but be in their spaces, talk to their parents as well, because I did not shoot that without consent. I had to get the commissioner's approval, but also the king's approval from the town to shoot the story, and them being open to shoot to talk about it as well. So, and the good part of it was like some of the women, they know of each other, but they don't know their stories from each other. And we kind of developed like a union to by creating the story that basically where they're not alone and they could share with each other their their past basically, but also develop a new community, develop new friendships, and where they feel like they're not alone. And with this story as well, what was very engaging was the images that I took. They were able to see themselves right after I took them and then make their own decisions on how they wanted to be seen, or if they didn't like some specific outfits or a specific position, they don't want to like have a look around it. They wanted to recreate it, or then I will come down another time and then do another shoot with them. So it was a nice approach of how we view people, but also how to photograph together instead of just staging them into a position and then having them pose a different way. And yeah, this work literally got the Fuller Schiller Prize in 2023. And most of the story was not just about showing the work, but also presenting something back. I did not do this. This was fully funded by myself, and I went to Ghana. I had the help from my mom, used some of my own fundings to help them as well, provide supplies for the children, supplies for them as well, pay them. Because I feel like sometimes most photographers go just shoot and leave, and I don't want to like leave nothing behind, and I wanted to give something back. And I was able to do that, and I was really happy about it, and they were really happy about it. And then word got spread around into a different town, where I was able to shoot as well. And one thing I noticed from this whole story that shooting such a sensitive topic can be very like um, mentally exhausting because you hear the stories back and back again. And I followed this story till this day. I still in touch with the women and I'm still like talking to them and they want to know my process as well. And I cannot do everything, of course, because I'm one person's one house basically with my family and we're trying to like to better the community by engaging with the schools and helping them each other and just providing what they kind of need and making events to help women go back to school as well. And some of the children and women who I've met, some of them had great stories, and then some of them ended up in the same particular situation, whereas like it's common there. And I wanted to look deeper into where is this coming from because we say that like women will always be blamed for like how they wear their dresses, how they act in public, or if they're like going to church because Ghana is very a Christian, like a very faithful religious country where faith is playing a lot of roles in churches especially. And then people would be judged by not going to the church or judged by, okay, they dressed a certain way, they're going out, that's why they got raped. But then we don't blame the men, we blame the women. And I wanted to know more about what is it about us women that kind of gives that impression. And I went deeper into the research of mine, which was in the eastern region of Ghana. So when growing up, my mom used to have like um, beads around my waist, and they would be changed all the time when I was getting in a specific puberty age. So when I got older, I got different pearls around my waist that were like much beautiful and had some blinks on it. And my mom's beads herself were different, bigger, and more stylish. So I wanted to ask where is this coming from and where is this because I'm Ashanti, I know about the beads, I know about the gold we wear, but where is this really rooted from? And I found the study basically on the from a friend who invited me to go into research about it. It's the Krobo region and it's the eastern region of Ghana. And there is a rite, it's called depot rites. And depot rites stands for like women in puberty. And basically, it's from a young age that you would take. Basically, the children would learn how to like wash their own clothes, how to fold clothes, how to speak to elderly people, but also learn how to um, learn the practice as a woman to get into marriage. That was the right back then, but it changed and modernized in the ages of the years and with technology as well. And there were also some articles online that showed the that showed that the rights of these women were that women in this particular right would get raped easily because of their exposure of the breasts. So normally the women would be exposed, going showing that the children are where they have to be out in the public, being judged basically by the elders who are going with them to the rites. And if they pass one rite, they will go to the next stage, and it's 5 stages that they have. And one of the stages is also where you have to have your menstrual on a stone, like a sacred stone, which is on top of a mountain. And the women will go there and have their menstrual on the stone. And if you have the menstrual on the stone, that means you're a virgin. And that attracts a lot of men, especially when they know, oh, she is a virgin, and then they want to use that and abuse that. And there are lots of articles online about it, and I was like, this is so negative, but isn't there like a positive around it? And why does it seem like the female body has to be always exposed to the public? And why do we have to like showcase our beauty not only through the beats but also through our own sense of um breasts, for example? And yeah, and then I had a talk with one of the elders in the Krobo region where I got the permission to shoot those women. These women are not to be shot at all. And there is once in a year there is the rite that they would do where they go to the mountain and then take the women from the mountain. They would be carried home and then staged and then prepared for marriage, for example. But nowadays, this ride is more for like women to kind of learn the independence and then learn how to create their own self and go through the presence instead of like being humiliated by the community. And it's such a strong area and such a beautiful way of seeing beauty within ourselves and our community. And I called this project the Pearls of Purity because it's so like it is pure, and in a sense that it's not just about being beautiful, but it's also about having the strength and also asking yourself the questions, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be dependent, how does it look for me when I go into education? And back then they would start from an early age, and now they don't do that anymore. That you can do a Krobo even if you're 25 years old. They had children, women that are older come to do that right because they come from that area, and they celebrate the women. And there is a festival that's called Yokama, and the king would then select one woman in a year who he feels like has done much for the community and shown that she is a independent, strong woman that has done so much, not just for the community, but also for herself. And I was able to have that experience and shoot these women, but also interview them. So if you have time as well, later on, you can like look up on YouTube, look up my name, and there is definitely, I will send a link to Ellie, and then you can provide as well. It goes an hour long, but it's beautiful. It's such a nice ceremony, but it shows you everything about where it's coming from, what each specific pearl means, and the more pearls you have, the richness you show, basically. And yeah, and this is one of the images that I wanted to present. I already have presented this work once in Bielefeld, but in the future should show everything. And yeah, and then finally, I wanted to talk about my current project, which is Psalm 16. It comes from a Bible verse, which I dreamt about. It's insane to say that, but I'm very faithful. And during my course in the term of being here at the Royal College of Arts, I was dealing with a lot. And I always found peace and safety into my faith in going to the church. And most of my works that I create are always in Ghana. And I wanted to know more about what it means to be faithful, but also means to be in the presence of God. And the Ashantis, there is, let's say that the Ghanaian community, there is lots of faith. The way we pray is different than normal Catholic churches. The way we anoint ourselves is different. And for us, it's more about not just a ritual, but it's kind of like a ride into the presence of God. And when I think about God, it's not just about having a Jesus moment or a Jesus symbol. It's more about being faced with the earth and faced with the greatness and the feeling of not being small, but the feeling of being present within his area. So I went to Ghana with my mom and her pastor, and the pastor who I'm working with, he is in Accra most of the time, and he always prays for us. And in Ghana, in the Ashanti region, there is a prayer mountain where people go there to have like their own um, miracle and also fast for several months. Sometimes they stay there for like most of the times, like a year to stay up there, up the hill. And this hill is so steep, like it's an hour journey to go up that hill, but it feels like you're fighting with yourself, but when you get up there, there's a presence that you can feel. And there are different camps in that mountain, and different altars. Some altars are for financial aid, some altars are for specific healings, and also there is like a fountain that is like empty. It's like on the ground next to a tree, and they say that's like a miracle where water flows into it. And sometimes it would just happen once a year where water goes into that fountain. And people believe that that's where the miracle happens. And that's like a journey that I took with me. And I was there for several days, and was practicing prayers, worship, and being baptized in oil. So we could say so anointed, we say, but definitely being in the presence of God, praying, and just being feeling the sense of being rooted to my ancestors, but also rooted in to be grounded. And for me, that presence. I met also one of the leaders of the mountains that like that built it up this whole prayer mountain, and I asked them for permission if I could shoot the story there and the people as well. But because this is such a holy sacred place, you're not allowed to shoot at all. People really despise that. The minute they see a camera, they will assume you took a picture of them, and they don't want that because this is such a holy space and it shouldn't be exploited, and it should not be like this is not a tourist attraction. But I wanted to show that personal story through my work, and I asked if I could do self-portraiture. And for me to be there, I cannot just expose my body. I have to be very much covered and be in the present. And even while I was taking those pictures, these are self-portraits that I took with my Leica Q3. And basically, for that to happen, I felt the sense of not being just staged in the situation, but also being able to to be in the presence of God, because this is such a holy place. You can't I feel like you can't play around it. And I was definitely praying while I was taking that picture, because I was doing that on self timer and controlling the angles as well. And luckily, I had my mom there to help me with the clothing, and my cousin to help me with holding stuff and everything else. And I also developed a video for this, and I would want to show it. It's like 2 minutes. But I had made a little trailer to kind of show a little intro into it. So if this works good, then fine. If not, then there will be a link afterwards that you guys can watch. So I'm gonna go to the next slide. My body rests in safety. So yeah, that's like a 13-second slide about what's going on. But if you're interested in this work, definitely feel free to come to the Royal College of Arts. It's open from 12 to 6 tomorrow, especially longer till 8. You can watch the work live here. And then also there's a video as well that is on YouTube, and Ellie will send out and handle, and you can watch it in private as well. And yeah, for me, is navigating through the whole system of devotion and courage as well. And now I want to shift this completely because, yeah, just a little quote like, photographs are not documentation, they are devotion to me. That's a quote I would say definitely. And it's not about telling stories, it's about understanding and having that moment present and being able to grip it is something that is way special than just taking a documentation of anything else. And yeah, so now I'm gonna shave everything else because we are doing some photo tips as well. So I want to talk about the part nobody really talks about, and is about how to really navigate the industry and how do you actually build a career out of this. So I'll be honest with you, no one gave me a roadmap, so I had to do the wrongs to then rebuild and then go forward. And I'm still, I feel like I'm not nowhere, but I feel like I'm developing a path of learning and understanding. And for me, I feel like I'm always a learner. I'm never the teacher. I'm always the learner. I'm never the teacher. So I wanted to show a little bit about fundings, awards, and some practice and something to do. And next slide. So, one thing I done was submit my work for the Felix Schoeller Awards. I never knew about photography awards back then, but my professor back then, I think for as a photographer or as an artist, it's always the best tool we have is to ask questions. If you have any inspiration, people you like the work of or like specific things of, even if they are in a higher position or regardless of their stage of career, you should ask them questions. Wherever you find them, grab them for ask the question. It never, a no means nothing, but it doesn't help. It's not a bad thing to just to ask. So what I did, I submitted my work at the Felix Schoeller Award, and I was working with a cohesive series, and you couldn't send much pictures. So because I shot the Holy Women, which was like around 200 images of single people, so I couldn't just submit everything, of course. There was what's it called? There was only 5 images I could submit, so I had to make a series that actually shows the work but doesn't destroy the whole series without understanding. So working with that, you had to kind of like submit a statement as well. And the statement you have to write about is not only for what you do, but also why, what makes you the right person to showcase this work. And for me, it was because of the personal relationship I had with my cousin, but also about the topic that is very important for this generation in general. And I didn't think about anything. It all happened all of a sudden. Then I received a call and they told me I won. I never knew about it. I just sent it and then that happened randomly. And I was so proud of it because I just wanted the women to be seen, and then they really got seen. And the good part about it, the first time I actually showed this work was at the European Month of Photography, which my professor submitted my work for, and I was able to showcase 10 images, and I was FaceTiming those women because they couldn't come here, of course. So I was showing them their work, and they saw each other, and it was such a beautiful moment for them to see themselves on the wall, big printed, and just having the stories out there. And for me, even winning that award, I didn't want it to just like you of course some awards get paid of course, and I didn't use that money for myself. I went back to Ghana, recreate like shot on more women and children, and then gave back also to community. And it was such a beautiful moment because they thought some people go there, shoot, and then leave them alone. But then when they saw me back again, it was so much tears of joy, and it was I can't explain it, but it's like having a family and then coming back to the family and being able to like, hey guys, we did this, and it was such a nice moment. And the lessons I've learned as being a photographer and making this awards, sometimes you get offers that will help you to provide understanding for others, but then also it doesn't always happen all the time. So you don't have to like get negative about not winning anything because it's a process. These people, these jurors have so many people to watch all the time, one image after the other. Sometimes some specific stories fit more than the other one, and it's okay. And as long as you do your work and you showcase it and you speak to people about it, and I think the biggest advice I was given is the internet is your audience, is your platform, and you can use that to showcase your work, talk about your work, and provide more information. Some people who I've never met before, just like you guys, literally are interested in how my work process is, but also how I roll around the industry, and I'm very grateful for that. And definitely, it takes time, and as a photographer, it's always a hard way to kind of like finish school and then what's happening next. Always have a second job, and my second job was cleaning, so I'm not afraid of saying that. Even though I had a degree to work in an office, I didn't get the positions, but I still had to make money work. And cleaning was an option for me, and then working as a hostess was an option for me. So I was taking as long as much as rent is paid, as long as much I could provide another project with that, that was good for me. So don't get discouraged if you don't win an award. That's what I'm trying to say as well. And finding the funds, I'm not quite sure if you guys can see all of it, but basically, um, the best platforms I had was PhotoVogue. I had the opportunity to have like a portfolio review with PhotoVogue, where they provided different like audiences like Vogue Germany, The Guardian, The Washington Post. They were like interested in my work that I did, and I was able to have a chat with them, and that was the opening for me having a discussion and networking with them. And having that is a good research of fundings or maybe development of future projects, which happened for me. For example, like with Photo Vogue, I was invited by Vogue Germany to see the office and like just introduce myself, and then they were interested in my work and stuff, and I actually pitched them a story from Ghana about the Afrofuture, and that got picked, and I worked with them. So having that is a good thing. And then there is Res Artists. It's like a platform. You can go and research about artist residencies, awards, anything that is about finding fundings. That's a good platform. There's also another platform called Pictor, if anyone knows that as well. It's also a great platform. It mostly has everything in there. Then, depending on where you live, there is the Deloitte Photo Grant, which provides funding for photographers or artists who have like a solo show. Then the Art Council in England, because I'm in London right now, there are different art councils in each country, of course, depending where you live. And they provide fundings for artists where you can apply. And then there's also the Goethe Institute because I'm German, but it's also for non-German. So just also as a tip as well. And then open calls from Photo Vogue if that's interesting to you about just going to fashion and something else. But they're also more about contemporary art and not just fashion only. And then yeah, and how to apply. Read the winners' um, um, application forms, read them, see their works, go to like some of the events, talk to them, ask them personal questions, even write them personally. How did they do this? What did they speak about? Some people will definitely send their statements even to you, or like you can do anything. And then also, if you like you should never like apply by force. Take your time with it. Sometimes they have deadlines, of course, but if you don't feel like the series is ready or is not ready to be seen, you still have time to do that all the time. So don't be discouraged about it. And also, yeah, and then there's also a rate that is normal from different galleries, especially that they take from artists and or acceptance rates and stuff. So that's one thing. Then next slide would be working across 3 countries because I am definitely I'm like I feel like I'm like a nomad, or it could be like a nomad situation, but I am definitely working across different countries such as Ghana, Accra, and Germany. I'll be honest, London gave me like a institutional access of pitching opportunities, like this workshop right here, and learning the English art world, which is a huge world, and I'm very grateful to be here because we have so much access to different galleries, museums, and it gets rotated each term, and you can see different works, and it's more international, I would say, than Germany, but Germany as well. If you go to Berlin, it's very good when it comes to the Goethe Institute as well in photography, or the Grote, the Gropius Bau is a big museum for artists as well. That's where I first saw Sanele Muhudi's work. They are a South African artist, photographer who shoot around the LGBTQ community. And yeah, and for me, Berlin, yeah, opens the European fundings and structures. And for me, the truth is, it costs a lot, and it's time that goes into everything, and energy is never fully landing anywhere. But what I've definitely learned is that the space between the worlds that I'm working in is actually where the most important works happen. And it's sometimes the uncomfortable that gets me productive. And also, anyone who is here and isn't based in a major art capital, your location is not your limitation. So you can definitely go and travel a lot and definitely work around the areas you are, because even where you are, if you think there's a boring area, try to talk to about your neighbors. Like go there, look around, ask them questions. They might know something you don't know. And it's always your work has to be strong, but also the presentation of to be professional has to be like on point. And everything else is just logistics, and it's easy. We have the internet and we can access anything. So definitely working in 3 countries or in a different or in a small village could be definitely a big tool for anyone. And I wouldn't say it's definitely a privilege to work in 3 different countries, but I had the privilege to work in one country, which is Ghana, and like knowing about my history and my own identity. And that's what I want to like showcase, and trying to find the bridge between the Western world and also the African diaspora. And yeah. And then something that is very important to me is what things that nobody told me. And in this part, I have like a list of things I genuinely wish someone told me earlier, especially like on identity, on how to readiness or writing. And for example, on identity is like your culture, identity is not a niche because it's your greatest competitive advantage in the market, full of photographers and who look and sound the same, and not everyone is the same. So I always say people are are special and have something very, there's always a small detail that makes you stand out differently from all the others. And then on readiness, apply before you feel ready, because you will never feel ready when you stop waiting for something that you're feeling, and it can be always the same thing, and no one's gonna like rush you into something. And then also on writing, your artist statement matters as much as your image. Yeah, you have to learn how to write about your work clearly and without apology and very confidently, and say like really like your artist statement has to be on point, and don't downgrade yourself. That's something some people tell me as well. If you won a specific award, mention that award. Make sure you tell people exactly what you shoot and where you come from. Never hide that. And also on saying no, I always was a very I'm a very empathic person and very um like personal. So I was very like when someone said no to me, it really hurt my feelings, or or someone didn't like my work, I tried to like please them. Never do that. Saying no to your work, that doesn't change the position as you as a exotic. It doesn't or it doesn't like as a spokesperson for an entire continent, you're not gonna do that. So you're a specific artist with a specific vision. So you're not a representation of anyone else but yourself. So even if they say no, doesn't mean that it's you. It's them and that's for them. And having that difference between your own work, don't make it as personal as their opinion. And everyone is entitled to feel how they'll view your work, and everyone has their own opinion. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be constructive, it can be unconstructive. But make sure you know what you're telling and be open to the viewers' opinions, but don't take it too personal in changing your own work or own self. So that's definitely something I wish someone told me earlier. And then also on the community, the people in this room like in this room with you right now, tonight is the future, the collaborative work, networked. Not It's not a competition. The people in your industry, wherever you are, like you should never see anyone as a competitive. You guys are working in the same industry. Yes, everyone has their own ways of viewing stuff, but for me, as an artist, if my peer is good at something particular and they need help, I would definitely help them. I have so many photographer friends who are also great artists, photographers, videographers, and even them, they were surprised if that they needed someone like, hey, who's willing to help me with lighting or fixing something else or helping them. I was hands up, I'm ready, I can help. And that's something they were surprised about because they thought because I'm in a different position that they would think I'm too proud or maybe I shouldn't be doing that. But no, helping like working collaborative with another photographer or another artist is the best thing you could do for yourself as well because you never know what kind of outcome would change for you, but also for future projects as well. Like if you could develop something else within the process and you learn new things and you network the same way as you do with others. So having the people in your corner and also in the space right now, even in the chat here, we can all collaborative work. And I'm like also open to working with other people, especially like painters, fashion designers, poem speakers, or whoever feels like they're like ready to take a photography session with me, or even if you want me to like review your portfolio or review anything, I'm always there to help and don't feel free. I'm the same person as you are. So yeah, that's basically most of this. And then things actually want you guys to take with you is you could apply this week at the Artistica for Art Prize and also the Arts Content Development for Young for Creatives and Development. They're all like open now, so you can do that. And then also residencies are open online, so check out the website and see if you need something from there. And then also what I would love for you to do is write one paragraph on what you're trying to do and why it matters to you. It shouldn't be a CV. It's just like sometimes if you write down your thoughts, that's something I do. I journal a lot, but I also write down my own thoughts and something I love about or something I've just viewed today. Or maybe it's about a color. It could be just one color specifically. Write that down. You should have an artistic journal or a poem, like a book that you write your thoughts down, colors, or you can stitch any photographers or any other images in it because you might look back into or even a word you might look back into it and develop a project from that. And so I work in that system as well. There's some projects that I did 2 years or 3 years later after writing that 3 years ago and developing that project. And it's very important to have that written down because you always go down to your practice and also review your work from the first beginning because that's also something that my tutor told me. And reviewing your work from the past 10 years ago, you will see the development you have done so far, but also you might go back into touching a new series or touching a new project that can develop out of that old project, for example. And yeah, and then also my connect details. I'm on Instagram. I have a website. Here's my email as well. And you can find me on all platforms. And definitely feel free to come and see Psalm 16. And now we are opening the time for some Q&A. And feel free to ask me anything. And also write some questions if you don't know what to ask. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa Marie, for such a meaningful discussion, and brilliant to hear more about like holy women, your process, like ethical responsibilities, and how you handle, of course, pressure, and what has been useful for you. I loved also that you highlighted articulating how helpful it has been for you to be clear about articulating what your work is. um, I I would love to invite participants to add any questions on the chat. You can also feel free to unmute yourselves and directly share questions with Lisa Marie. And yeah, we already have lots of thank you comments, but yeah, we would like to open it up to anyone. Please do share any questions that you might have for Lisa Marie. There are a lot of comments coming through about thank you, your work is lovely, so much
Thank
insight,
you
thank
so
you for
much.
sharing yourself. There is one question from Franklin which reads, as a beginner photographer, what would be the best camera to buy or would you recommend?
Wow. Normally, because I think I have tried every camera so far. I'm not gonna lie, I've literally tried every camera company, Leica, Sony, Canon, and also the analog photographs like Mamiya's. To be honest, which one I started with was the Panasonic. It's regardless of what camera you want to use. It depends on what your work is about. Because for me, even your phone is amazing. You can shoot anything. It's about training your eye and your vision. So you don't need a if you wanted to start photography, I always go with Canon because it's easier to understand. It's most industries use it. Also when I bought my first professional gear to carry around was the Canon EOS R, which was a mirrorless camera. So I started using the Mark five, the Canon EOS 5 Mark III. And then I developed a sense for it and learned how to shoot with it. And then went to the USR, which was really fine for me. And I never know my equipment that well, but I needed specific specs, which was like the megapixels, because if you want to print out large images, you want to go for like high res megapixels. I wouldn't go above 60. There's a lot of gears out there that's like 60. You can do everything with 30 or 24. So you don't need the much higher or expensive camera in at all. You can even buy a point and shoot camera and shoot with that for the start. But yeah, I would definitely recommend for the colors to kind of like navigate through it is Canon and then Sony more for video. They're really good. And Leica is amazing. I had the pleasure to shoot that story, Psalm 16, with it, and that was a new territory for me as well. So I had to learn how it works and also with the colors, how I could do that. And I had 60 megapixels, so I was able to print large prints like that. So that was a good experience. I hope that helped you with the answering the question, Franklin.
Thank you, Lisa Marie. The next question is asking, what software do you use for editing?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're a student, that's like a bonus because if you're a student, Adobe Suite is amazing because they got Photoshop, they got InDesign, everything else. If you're a student, you get like a 15 pounds a month, I think. Or even if you're just your what's it called, your university provides that sometimes, or your school sometimes provide the license for that. So definitely use that for sure. And then also I use Capture One. I moved from Lightroom to Capture One because it's also mostly what the industry use and it's better for like colors and like navigating tools. Lightroom is also good, but I'm used to Capture One right now, so I use Capture One and Photoshop only, and tweak my stuff there and then do the whole other process in fine tuning in Photoshop. So yeah. And then yeah, thank you,
The
Myra.
next the next question is, what's your vision for your photography going forward from Beverly?
Yes, Beverly, thank you for that question. I definitely believe that my next vision is to have more exhibitions. Definitely more exhibitions, working with different photographies, workshops, and wanting to also tutor as well. I've done one tutoring in Berlin at my university as well after my bachelor's, which was a nice experience and working with students because I love helping other people, but also like learning from others as well. And yeah, having shows, develop more future works, and I want a big show with the whole women, to be honest. That's like one of my goals that I'm working on. And that's something that's looking forward to the future and having a book as well. So I'm preparing that as well at the moment. Yeah.
We're looking forward to seeing it, Lisa Marie, and obviously feel free to share any information and I'll include it at the follow-up email. Sami is asking us, I was wondering, how did you overcome the fear of rejection and just went for it? I am developing a project and I feel stuck because I don't know which part of the project I should prioritize first.
Basically, how the first question, how to overcome fear of rejection. It's a long process, not gonna lie. I think after the Holy Women, I definitely went into therapy because I needed that. I kind of needed also a distance from myself to kind of like go into more myself and also learning who I am, but also what makes me scared. And I will write that down to kind of like see what kind of fear I really have. Is it like, why is that the fear of rejection so heavy on me and where does it come from or stem from? So I went through that. Not everyone has the opportunity to do that, but if I definitely I also read books. There's a one book in particular that really helped me. I'm not really fond of books and stuff, but that one was really good. It's called the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Sorry to say that, but if we can beep that somehow, I don't know. But that's the book I read, and I read this. I bought this in Ghana, and I read it, and it was amazing. And over time, with the step of rejection, it's definitely never think everything is personal. Like these people are just surface wise seeing stuff. It never goes to their own identity. And I think it comes also from confidence that you build over the years on knowing what you do and how you talk about your work as well. What's about, because you are the one who only knows about your work and you have developed it. No one else was there when you took that. So I cannot tell you about your work. I can like talk about what you could do maybe differently or what steps you could open for more discussion, but not on your own personal identity. So never see a rejection as a fear. And yeah, people come and go. Da, we in German we say da rein, da raus, meaning it goes one ear to the other. and take what you want to take because it's your own power that you have free will with. So, and also about if you're feeling stuck about a project, you don't know which one to take. I always would say this when I view my projects, I don't watch them the same day. I take time off to kind of like go in sense and recovering from everything, and then I look at this. And sometimes, if you go through the images, sometimes music helps. For me, sometimes being in a space alone, sometimes low light, music helps me to kind of like a feeling that I get from a specific song or a feeling that I get from a specific area that can help me provide the right project, can help me decide on what I want to show because it's always about the gut feeling, I feel like, when it comes to photography. If you feel this work is not ready yet, or you feel like, there's something missing about it, then you should work on it. If you feel like, oh, this is a nice story and you already feel confident in it, then you can take and prioritize on it. If you have more written down on the story, I would focus on that and not just about something and then start a little bit there and do that. That's not okay. You can do that, but give one story one attention and prioritize that. That feels more identical to your own identity and also your own history as well.
Thank you, Lisa Marie. We have a couple of questions, which, for the sake of time, I will condense, but there are questions around how do you ensure that approaching people for your portraits is done in a way that fosters their confidence and trust, and specifically since you are exploring sensitive narratives. You touched base a little bit about that earlier, but if you have any specific tips that have been really helpful in your relationships with your subjects.
Yeah, definitely. I think it also depends on you as well. Because I'm so chatty, it kind of goes naturally as well. But I'm also nervous sometimes meeting people, not gonna lie. And I have some huge respect. I kind of like feel it. But one thing I learned is that when I shoot people, I always have a chat with them before I do anything else. Kind of like loosen them up before we shoot. If they needed something to eat, to drink, maybe music helps a lot. Music does a lot of things. That's my experience so far. And of course, with the sensitive topic, I didn't have music, but I had guidance on like what I wanted to do, introduce myself, where you coming from. Having that intimate moment quickly with a person and just sharing a little bit about yourself can help them open up about you as well. And I wouldn't, my thing that I do, I don't shoot right away because when they're posing, they're posing. But if there's a moment that you see, and you have that feeling, okay, this is the moment that you need to click on, do it. And that's like a gut feeling that you get. You will get that over time with photography, but definitely that's how I would approach people. And if you're doing street photography, that's different. Go for it. Don't ask no nothing. Go for it and then show the picture. They may like it, they may not like it, and then you just show it. But in different countries, you're allowed to take pictures of people without having asking for consent as well. So you have to also know about the guidelines. But when it comes to editorial and private issues, that where I would have a talk with them in person and just feel free, have a coffee, do something, but chill, make sure the surrounding also works for you guys, where it's not like too crowded or too busy. But yeah, it always happens naturally.
Thank you, Lisa Marie. I'm mindful we have gone a little bit over time. One more question, and what I will do, I will extract the questions from the chat and I will share them with Lisa Marie so that we can have her responses at the follow-up email. I don't want anyone to feel that you've missed out on the chance to directly ask. There is one question about selection. So how did you select from the 200 plus images? How did you select the five that made you say yes, and that you felt they encapsulate what you wanted to show and perhaps what you were hoping audiences would feel after engaging with these selected
Yeah.
images?
So with the selected images, that was a hard one, not gonna lie. It was same people, 10 different stories, and then 10 different outfits, and making sure the colors match. I printed all the images out, and then I had them laid out on the floor, on the table, everywhere. and I was sitting on them for weeks. For me, it was more of like a selection of um, which one was their favorites, and then also which one combined together. And I had to make the decision also not only I was happy to have also advice from my tutor as well on which one we could definitely pick, but some people's images were strong enough that they would stand out right away. And then also some images that are from a Pacific person. The other one was very strong, the other one was a bit subtle, and I had to make that decision what works best in a series. And I came down and narrowed down to 50, narrowed down to 20, and then had to narrow it down again, and then made that five decision. And that was like based on which story do I was stronger for me. And I everyone's story is strong, but which one was very important to me to tell because and then also the age I wanted to represent every age gap and make sure it wasn't just like one age, so I wanted to have everyone aligned into it. And yeah, that's how I kind of like narrowed it down based on age, story, and color as well.
Thank you so much, Lisa Marie. And would like to thank everyone for making the effort of logging in tonight and joining us. It is Refugee Week, a very important time in our annual calendar at the Photography Foundation. You will receive an email with the responses of Lisa Marie, as well with the presentation that we used today and some useful links. We do ask you to please fill in our feedback survey because it helps us secure funding to keep organizing our photo tips and offer them to the community. Um, we wish you a lovely evening or rest of your day wherever you're joining us from. And just to say thank you so much, Lisa Marie, for such a meaningful session today, for your tips that you so openly shared with all of us, for the way you shared about giving agency to the women that you have portrayed in Holy Women, and also for speaking about representation and courage, which is, of course, the main theme of this year's Refugee Week. We will share a few links around Refugee Week and other online events, but also UK-based events that you can join. We have some lovely comments at the chat, extremely helpful. Thank you. Um, Thank you so much for all you've shared and for hosting this talk. You're very welcome. We will linger for a few minutes in the talk, but feel free to drop off. And again, once this recorded talk will be edited, we will upload it at our online YouTube library, which is free to access. And thank you so, so much for being here, for joining us. I'll share the link of our next photo tips talk, which takes place in early September. And until then, you're more than welcome to join our on-site events at our studio in North Greenwich. And keep an eye on our LinkedIn and Instagram. Those platforms are the most up-to-date to see what we are offering at the Photography Foundation. But equally, of course, please do follow Lisa Marie if you haven't already. And yeah, we are all looking forward to seeing what you present in the future and look forward to that book as well. So thank you
Thank you
so
so,
much.
so much. Also, Ellie, for hosting this for me with me, and thank you so much for participating here. And yeah, I was very pleased to see everyone from you guys. And if you have any questions, you can also hit me up privately as well. And yeah, definitely, I would love to see you guys also in person if possible. But I thank all of you for being here.